I, Xie Shutao, have inexplicably transmigrated into a malicious female supporting character, destined to accentuate the virtues of the heroine. On the day of the adoption event, the wealthy matron disregards the delicate flower of a heroine, instead pointing at me, who is voraciously indulging in snacks. She is the one. Just look at her. She's simply appetizing. From that moment forth, I endeavored to conquer the entire family through my culinary prowess. The aloof brother remarked, "Hey, save some of that spicy strip for me. My name is Xie Shutao, an unremarkable orphan." Well, perhaps not entirely unremarkable. Within the orphanage, I am deemed the most formidable among the children, for my slender frame allows me to swiftly dart away during meal times. My fierce demeanor deters others from contesting with me. Today is a day of significance, as it is rumored that a particularly affluent couple intends to adopt a child. The director summoned Su Mengyao early in the morning, adorning her in a pristine princess gown. Her hair was meticulously styled, tied with a beautiful red ribbon and a bow. Su Mengyao is the apple of the director's eye, a fact well known among us all. She possesses a fair complexion, speaks in a soft voice, and excels at discerning people's moods, effortlessly charming the director. Whenever an adoption opportunity arises, the director's first thought is invariably of her. Yet, the director believes that no ordinary family is worthy of her treasure. She is constantly in search of an exceptionally suitable family for her, which is why Su Mengyao remains in the orphanage to this day. I leaned against the window, observing Su Mengyao, who was dressed like a doll, and pursed my lips in disdain. At that moment, a line of transparent text floated before my eyes. "Ha ha, the heroine, an adult pretending to be a child with a system. Isn't she unlikable?" I was momentarily taken aback, vigorously blinking my eyes. The text lingered, leisurely drifting past before vanishing. Was I hallucinating due to hunger? Before I could ponder further, the director opened the door to our dormitory. She cast a loving glance at Su Mengyao before her gaze swept over our ragtag group, finally settling on me, her brow furrowing in disapproval. "Xie Shutao, you come out too." I was taken aback, pointing to myself in disbelief. The director impatiently nodded. "Hurry, don't dawdle." I pondered in confusion. Why would such good fortune fall upon me? Typically, when the director sees me, she takes detours, disdaining my impoverished appearance and my fierce demeanor, which hardly embodies that of a proper girl. I slowly stepped forward, standing beside Su Mengyao. She was clad in a beautiful gown, while I wore a faded old outfit with patches on my knees. The director is truly formidable. She specifically brought the skinny and fierce supporting character to showcase to the wealthy couple as a contrasting example. Another line of text floated into view. Heroine? Supporting character? Contrast group? I began to grasp the situation. I was within a book. Su Mengyao is the protagonist, and I am merely the villain intended to highlight her virtues. An indescribable sensation welled within me, absurd yet somewhat amusing. Very well, if I am to be a contrast, perhaps I might still procure some delightful treats. With this thought, my earlier displeasure dissipated instantly. The director led the two of us into the reception room, where the couple awaited us. The gentleman was clad in a perfectly tailored suit, a watch glinting on his wrist under the light, clearly of considerable value. The lady wore a cheongsam, draped in a shawl, exuding an air of grace and elegance. Could they be the legendary wealthy couple? The director immediately donned a beaming smile, approaching them with a barrage of flattery. "Mr. Chung, Mrs. Chung, we apologize for the wait. Behold, this is our most obedient and understanding child, Su Mengyao." She nudged Su Mengyao forward. Su Mengyao instantly presented a saccharine smile, shyly greeting, "Hello, uncle, hello, aunt." The noblewoman merely smiled faintly, her gaze sweeping over us without exhibiting any particular enthusiasm. I had no time to concern myself with their theatrics. My eyes were already captivated by the exquisite delicacies adorning the nearby table. Heaven knows how long it had been since I had seen such refined treats. Macarons, small cakes, fruit tarts, a kaleidoscope of colors that made my mouth water. Seizing the opportunity while they exchanged pleasantries, I stealthily approached the table and seized a piece of strawberry cake, stuffing it into my mouth. Delicious. The cream was sweet yet not cloying, the cake was fluffy and delightful, with fresh strawberries. I squinted my eyes in bliss, devouring one piece after another. "Xie Shutao." The director's voice rang out sharply, laced with barely contained fury. Startled, I turned, still chewing on half a piece of mango mousse, my words muffled. All eyes were fixed upon me. A glimmer of triumph and disdain flickered in Su Mengyao's eyes. The director's face paled with anger as she stormed over, pointing at me and boasting to the couple, "You see, some children lack ambition, unable to present themselves properly. unlike our Meng Yao, who is both obedient and well-behaved. Indeed. Quickly observe this uncouth glutton, and then compare her to our lovely and well-mannered Yao Yao. Even a fool would know whom to choose. Just wait, Xie Shutao. Today marks the beginning of your utter disdain. The barrage of commentary flickered before Su Mengyao, but alas, only I could perceive it. Chewing on the mousse, I lamented that I might not only miss out on adoption, but perhaps even dinner tonight. Since it had come to this, I resolutely stuffed the remaining half into my mouth, embracing the chaos. However, what transpired next left everyone dumbfounded. The previously quiet noblewoman's eyes suddenly sparkled. She stared at me as if I were Columbus discovering a new world. Then, she raised her hand, her slender fingers pointing at me from across the room, her voice brimming with uncontainable excitement. She is the one. The room fell into an immediate silence, so profound that one could hear a pin drop. The director's smug expression froze in place, while Su Mingyao's sweet smile became rigid at the corners of her mouth. Even Mr. Chung raised an eyebrow in surprise. I was utterly choked by the cake in my mouth, coughing for quite some time. What on earth? Me? I pointed at my face, smeared with cream, utterly bewildered. The director was the first to regain her composure, stammering as she inquired, "Mrs. Chung, have you perhaps made a mistake? Are you referring to Xie Shudao?" "Indeed, that is her," Mrs. Chung replied with a beaming smile, rising to her feet and approaching me, her gaze filled with keen interest. "This girl seems rather appetizing." Appetizing? What a peculiar and audacious phrase. Throughout my life, I have heard others call me fierce, slender, or difficult to provoke, but this was the first time I was described as appetizing. What? This script is not supposed to unfold like this. Is this affluent lady out of her mind? Instead of choosing me, the perfect heroine, she opts for a gluttonous supporting character? Su Mingyao's barrage of comments transformed into a myriad of question marks. The director, flustered, hastily pulled Su Mengyao before Mrs. Chung, desperately promoting her. "Mrs. Chung, please take another look at Mengyao. She plays the piano, paints beautifully, excels in her studies, and is quite well behaved." "No need," Mrs. Chung interjected, waving her hand to cut off the director. She crouched down, gazing at me tenderly, pulling out a handkerchief to carefully wipe the cream from the corner of my mouth. "Little girl, what is your name?" Xie Shutao," I replied, dazed. "Shutao, what a lovely name," she smiled. "Would you like to come home with us? We have a large kitchen and a dedicated chef. You can have anything you desire." My heart, betraying me, began to race uncontrollably. It was not merely because she was an affluent lady or the prospect of leaving the orphanage, but rather because of her words, "You can have anything you desire." To me, that was the most enchanting declaration of affection in the world. I looked into her sincere eyes, then glanced at the director, whose face was ashen, and Su Mengyao, on the verge of tears. I nodded vigorously. "I am willing." My voice rang out so loudly that it startled even me. "Wonderful," Mrs. Chung exclaimed, clapping her hands joyfully as she stood up and addressed her husband. "Darling, it's her. Let us proceed with the formalities." Mr. Chung had been mostly silent, simply watching his wife with a fond gaze. Upon hearing her words, he nodded and said to the director, "Then we'll trouble you, director." The director's expression darkened further than the bottom of a pot. She opened her mouth as if to say something but, under Mr. Cheng's calm scrutiny, found herself utterly speechless. All she could do was glare at me in frustration, her eyes seemingly wishing to bore two holes into me. I paid her no mind, my thoughts solely occupied with the half plate of pastries remaining on the table, wondering if I could take them with me when we finalized the paperwork. The process of formalities unfolded more swiftly than I had anticipated. Mr. Chung, evidently a man of action, had his assistant promptly deliver the necessary documents. Despite the director's evident reluctance, he had no choice but to stamp the papers with a grimace, confronted with the stark reality of black and white. Throughout the ordeal, Su Mengyao stood to the side, biting her lip with fervor, her eyes glistening like a forsaken little rabbit. The barrage of messages before her continued to refresh in a frenzy. "System. What on earth is happening? Why has Xie Shutao been adopted? What about my life of luxury? What am I script? System notification. An unknown deviation in the plot has occurred. Urgent calculations are failing. Please, host, seek out opportunities to rectify the situation." I feigned ignorance, though my heart brimmed with delight. Regardless of whether one was the protagonist or the antagonist, anyone who could ensure my sustenance was a benefactor in my eyes. As I was about to leave, I could no longer restrain myself and quietly inquired of the lovely Mrs. Chung, "Annie, may I still have some of those pastries?" Mrs. Chung, who would be my future adoptive mother, Lin Wanling paused momentarily, then her smile blossomed even brighter. Of course you can. If you like them, we shall take them all. She promptly instructed her assistant to package every last pastry, laden with bags both large and small. The director observed, his face paling, likely cursing my lack of ambition in his mind. I paid him no heed, clutching a box of macarons, contentedly following my new parents out of the orphanage. The moment I settled into the car, I truly comprehended the essence of wealth. The interior was spacious enough to roll around in, the seats crafted from genuine leather, luxuriously soft as if they were clouds. A small refrigerator graced the vehicle, brimming with an array of beverages and snacks I had never laid eyes upon. As soon as Lin Wanling entered the car, she opened the fridge and handed me a bottle of imported juice, saying, "Xiao Tao, have a sip to soothe your throat. I noticed you nearly choked on those pastries." I accepted it in astonishment, sipping delicately. The sweetness was 1,000 times more delightful than plain water. Cheng Yuan, the driver, caught my eye in the rearview mirror, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Xiao Wan, you've finally found a kindred spirit." Lin Wanling shot him an exasperated glance. "What do you mean, kindred spirit? Our Xiao Tao is fortunate. Being able to eat is indeed a blessing, you understand?" As she spoke, she opened a packet of chips and offered them to me. "Here, try this. It's sea salt and cheese flavor. I'm sure you'll love it." Gazing at her warm smile, my heart swelled with gratitude. No one had ever treated me so kindly before. I took the chips and softly murmured, "Thank you, Annie." "Silly child, from now on, you should call me Mom," Lin Wanling replied, gently ruffling my hair. Her touch, so tender it made my nose tingle. I lowered my head and stuffed a generous mouthful of chips in. Truly delightful. After more than an hour's drive, we finally arrived at an immense villa. Peering out of the car window, my mouth slowly fell open in astonishment. Was this truly a house? It resembled a castle. With a garden, a fountain, and a swimming pool, it made the orphanage appear as nothing more than a small hillock. An elderly gentleman clad in a butler's uniform awaited us at the door, respectfully opening the car door. "Sir, madam, welcome back. Li Shu, this is our daughter, Xie Shu Tao. From now on, she shall be called Xiao Tao," Lin Wanling introduced, holding my hand. Li Shu smiled kindly at me. "Good day, Mississippi." The title caught me off guard, and I could only nod foolishly. Stepping inside, I was once again taken aback by the sight before me. A magnificent crystal chandelier hung from the lofty ceiling, sparkling more beautifully than the stars above. The floor was adorned with a plush carpet, muffling any sound beneath my feet. 2 rows of servants stood neatly, bowing as we entered. "Welcome, sir and madam. Welcome home, miss." The spectacle was reminiscent of something from a television drama. I nervously tightened my grip on Lin Wanling's hand. Sensing my unease, she patted the back of my hand and spoke softly. "Do not be afraid. This will be your home from now on." She gestured toward the staff. "They are all part of the household. You may ask them for anything you need." Then, as if recalling something of utmost importance, she took my hand and led me in a certain direction. "Come, Mom will show you the most important thing." I assumed she would lead me to my room or perhaps a treasure chamber. Instead, she brought me directly into the kitchen. This kitchen was larger than our orphanage's dining hall, equipped with gleaming utensils that sparkled under the lights. A plump uncle dressed in a white chef's coat was busily at work. "Chef Zhang," Lin Wanling called out cheerfully. The jovial chef turned, and upon seeing us, his face broke into a broad smile. "Madam, you have returned. Is this the young lady?" "Yes. This is my daughter, Xiao Tao," Lin Wanling proudly announced, embracing me and turning to Chef Zhang. "You must ensure our Xiao Tao becomes plump and healthy." Chef Zhang appraised me with a nod. "Rest assured, madam. I will fulfill my duty." As I observed their playful banter, I felt somewhat like a little pig destined for pampering. Yet, this sensation was oddly comforting. After touring the kitchen, Lin Wanling finally took me upstairs to see my room. My room was a pink princess chamber, featuring a grand bed draped in lace, a private dressing room, and a bathroom with a balcony. On the balcony sat a small table with 2 chairs, adorned with a plate of fresh fruit. This was no mere room. It was 100 times more luxurious than the director's so-called office suite. "Do you like it?" Lin Wanling inquired, her gaze filled with anticipation. I nodded vigorously, unsure where to direct my eyes. "I'm glad you like it." Lin Wanling smiled approvingly. "You should rest a while and change your clothes. Dinner will be ready soon." My stomach betrayed me with a growl. Dinner was laid out on a long table, covered with a pristine white tablecloth and adorned with exquisite tableware. One dish after another was presented: braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, steamed sea bass, oil-braised shrimp. Buddha jumps over the wall, and various delicacies I could not name, filling the table to the brim. My eyes widened in disbelief. In my entire life, I had never encountered such a feast. Chung Yuan observed my astonished expression and chuckled at Lin Wanling. "Look, you've frightened the child." Lin Wanling playfully scolded, "Nonsense. Our Xiao Tao is simply delighted. Come, Xiao Tao, eat up and savor Chef Zhang's culinary skills." I gazed at the quivering piece of braised pork in my bowl. Marbled and glistening red, my mouth watering uncontrollably. I gingerly took a bite. The skin was tender, the fat melting in my mouth, and the lean meat was flavorful and succulent, perfectly balanced between sweet and savory. "It's so delicious." My eyes sparkled as I disregarded all manners and began devouring my meal with fervor. Lin Wanling beamed at my enthusiasm, constantly adding more dishes to my bowl. "Slow down. Don't choke. There's more in the pot. Xiao Tao, try this shrimp. It's exceptionally fresh. This fish has no bones. Eat plenty, you clever girl." Chung Yuan watched us with a blend of exasperation and indulgence, hardly partaking in his own meal but peeling shrimp for me instead. I relished 3 full bowls of rice that evening. Finally, with a round belly resting comfortably against a chair, I felt blissfully content. This was the most satisfying and happiest meal I had ever experienced in my life. After dinner, Lin Wanling had them bring out fruits and desserts. Gazing at the exquisite tiramisu, I could hardly resist, even though I was already full, and indulged in a generous slice. As night descended, I reclined upon the plush expanse of my bed, cocooned in a quilt imbued with the essence of sunshine, feeling as if I were ensconced in a dream. Have I truly found a home? And parents to call my own? I turned over, burying my face into the pillow, which was soft and faintly fragrant. It seemed to me that I could detect the scent of happiness. Just as I was on the brink of slumber, Lin Wanling gently pushed the door open and entered. She settled beside me, tucking in the corners of my blanket. "Xiao Tao, are you asleep?" I kept my eyes closed and mumbled a vague response. She chuckled softly, her voice imbued with a tenderness that could melt the heart. "Sleep well, my dear. Whatever you wish to eat tomorrow, just let Mama know." The thought of tomorrow's meals flickered in my mind: deep-fried dough sticks, soybean milk, soup dumplings, and pan-fried buns. I smacked my lips and drifted into a deep sleep. In my dreams, I envisioned myself rolling joyfully upon a mountain formed of delectable treats. Life in this new home felt akin to paradise. Each morning, I awoke to the enticing aromas of food. Master Zhang's culinary skills were nothing short of extraordinary, mastering both Chinese and Western cuisines, as well as an array of pastries and desserts. Lin Wanling treated me as her prized possession, diligently overseeing my meals with unwavering vigilance. My sole task was to indulge in the culinary delights. In just a week, my face had rounded out and my complexion had brightened considerably, transforming from the formerly malnourished appearance of a sprout. Though Father Chung Yuan was not particularly talkative, his eyes sparkled with warmth whenever he looked at me. He would surprise me with the latest comic books and would quietly ensure that I had no fish bones while I ate. Uncle Lee and the household staff were equally kind, treating me as a little princess and catering to my every need. Each day felt like a blissful haze, as I reveled in the belief that I was the happiest child in the world. Of course, I had not forgotten about the heroine, Su Mengyao. Occasionally, snippets of her commentary would drift through my mind. How infuriating! Xia Shudao, that glutton, must be living the high life at the Chung family's expense. Meanwhile, I am stuck in this dilapidated house, trying to appease a temperamental old woman. System, when will I finally get my turn to shine? I am the protagonist. It appeared she too had been adopted, though her new family seemed far less accommodating than the Changs. As I munched on a chicken leg, I couldn't help but relish in her misfortune, thinking to myself, who told you to be the heroine? The path to a protagonist's growth is often fraught with challenges. One day, I was seated on the living room carpet, engrossed in an animated show while devouring a plate of strawberries. Lin Wanling received a phone call, her joy radiating from her beaming face. "Amo is coming back." "Really? When will he arrive?" "All right, I'll have Master Zhang prepare his favorite dishes." After hanging up, she excitedly enveloped me in a hug and planted a kiss on my cheek. "Xiao Tao, I have wonderful news. Your brother is coming home today." "Brother?" I was momentarily taken aback, almost forgetting to swallow the strawberry in my mouth. "I have a brother?" Noticing my bewilderment, Lin Wanling chuckled and explained. "Your brother is Chung Emo, studying abroad. He usually lives on campus, but he is coming home for the holiday." As she spoke, She began counting on her fingers. Master Zhang, hurry up and make a squirrel fish, and also the Buddha-s hand ribs. And don't forget to simmer a chicken soup. Alma loves tiramisu. So prepare that too. As I observed her bustling about, a sense of trepidation crept over me. Would this brother, whom I had yet to meet, like me? It always depicted in dramas that when a brother suddenly gains a sister, he tends to be resistant? Just as I was lost in my thoughts, I heard a commotion at the doorway. A tall, slender youth dragged a suitcase into the room. Clad in a simple white t-shirt and jeans. With slightly curly hair and fair skin, his features were so exquisitely defined that he appeared to have stepped out from a comic book. Yet, he emanated an aura of aloofness, his handsome face devoid of expression, suggesting that he might not be easy to approach. So, this is Chung Mo? Ha ha ha. The second male lead, Chung Mo, makes his entrance. He has severe obsessive-compulsive tendencies and despises disorderly individuals. Xie Shutao is doomed. He will only favor a sister like me, who is well-mannered. Su Mengyao commentary popped up at just the right moment. My heart sank. Obsessive-compulsive? I glanced down at myself, having just eaten strawberries. Juice had dripped onto my clothes, and my hands were sticky. Oh no! The moment Chung Mo stepped inside, his gaze fell upon me sprawled on the carpet amidst the mess. His brow furrowed immediately, a hint of disdain evident in his eyes. Mom, who is she? His voice was as cold as ice, akin to a block of ice crashing to the floor. Lin Wanling rushed over, grasping his arm. Amo, this is your sister. Xie Shutao, as I mentioned. She then turned to me, urging, Xiao Tao, greet your brother. I met his sour expression and found myself momentarily at a loss for words. However, under the roof, one must bow their head. Rising from the floor, I quietly uttered, brother. Chung Mo merely acknowledged me with a curt humph, his gaze lingering on me for less than a second before shifting back to Lin Wanling, questioning, Mom, why did you suddenly adopt a child? And one who is so? He left the sentence hanging, but his expression conveyed everything, especially regarding my untidy appearance. Lin Wanling's demeanor darkened. Chung Mo, how can you speak to your sister like that? Xiao Tao is now part of our family. She is your biological sister. I don't recall having a biological sister. Chung Mo scoffed, dragging his suitcase upstairs. As he passed by me, he deliberately sidestepped, as if I were contaminated. The atmosphere in the living room plummeted to an icy silence. I stood awkwardly in place, not knowing where to put my hands. Lin Wanling sighed, approaching me to gently pat my head, offering comfort. Xiao Tao, don't be afraid. Your brother just has a bad temper. He'll come around in a few days. I nodded but felt that a few days might stretch on indefinitely. Dinner was enveloped in an atmosphere of palpable tension. At the long dining table, Chung Mo sat across from me, his expression unyieldingly stern. Master Zhang had prepared an elaborate feast, all of Chung Mo's favorites. Yet, I observed that he was exceptionally picky, refusing this dish and neglecting that one, taking an eternity to finish a single bowl of rice. Lin Wanling, visibly concerned, kept urging him to eat. Amo, you need to eat more. Look at how thin you've become. This fish is delicious. Give it a try. Chung Mo merely frowned, symbolically tasting a couple of bites before placing his chopsticks down. In stark contrast, I was fully immersed in my meal, blissfully indifferent to his sour mood. With a chicken leg in my left hand and a rib in my right, I feasted with unabashed delight. Chung Mo watched me devour my food, his frown deepening, the disdain in his eyes nearly spilling over. Could you please eat quietly? He suddenly interjected, his tone laden with reproach. I paused, cheeks stuffed with meat, momentarily taken aback. Lin Wanling immediately reacted with displeasure. Amo, how can you speak to your sister like that? Xiao Tao is enjoying her meal. Look at you, so thin, perhaps you should learn from her. Chung Yuan chimed in, exactly. Xiao Tao is in her growth phase, and being able to eat is a good thing. Chung Mo found himself cornered by their combined sentiments. His handsome face flushed with frustration, ultimately resorting to glaring at me. I flashed him a cheeky grin and deliberately made loud crunching noises as I bit into the rib. I'll drive you crazy, little brother. After dinner, the servants presented dessert, a slice of tiramisu for Chung Mo and a bowl of mango sago for me. I quickly finished my own, my eyes fixated on the delectable tiramisu before Chung Mo appeared to have little appetite, taking merely a small spoonful before setting it aside. As I gazed longingly at the untouched slice of cake, a sense of unease crept into my heart. Wasting food is utterly disgraceful. I feigned nonchalance and inquired, brother, aren't you going to eat it? Chung Mo shot me a frosty glance, replying, no, I've lost my appetite. May I have it then? I ventured cautiously. He seemed momentarily taken aback, as if my directness had caught him off guard. His eyes flickered between my sparkling gaze and the cake, his lips twitching before he finally uttered a reluctant, "Go ahead." I immediately let out a cheer, pulling the plate of tiramisu towards me and eagerly diving in with my spoon. This is divine. The bittersweet cocoa, the rich cheese, and the moist ladyfingers combined in perfect harmony. I savored each bite, blissfully unaware of Chung Mo's dark expression across the table. His face was as grim as a stormy sky, his gaze fixed on me as if I were some extraterrestrial being. But I paid him no mind, devouring my treat while secretly bestowing upon him a nickname in my mind, Icy-Faced. So formidable, yeah, he must watch as I consume his cake. The day after Icy-Faced Chung Mo returned home, Lin Wanling, my mother, made a monumental announcement. Xiaodao has too few clothes. We must buy her some new outfits. I glanced down at my t-shirt and jeans, which had been recently purchased by Lin Wanling herself. They were far more new than all the clothes I owned in the orphanage combined. Yet, in the discerning eyes of the fashionista Lin Wanling, this was evidently woefully inadequate. Girls can never have enough clothes, she proclaimed. Come on, dear, let us conquer them all. Chung Yuan, my father, had a company meeting and could not accompany us. Thus, the burden of being our shopping companion fell upon the reluctant Chung Mo. Chung Mo pointed incredulously at himself. Mom, you want me to join you for shopping? What's the matter? Is accompanying your sister to buy a few clothes such an imposition? Lin Wanling shot him a stern look. Chung Mo immediately wilted under her gaze. While he dared to argue with her, he would never defy her commands. With a countenance that suggested the world owed him 8 million, he begrudgingly trailed behind us. We ventured to the city's most upscale department store. The mere price tags on the clothes inside could sustain me for several years at the orphanage. I followed Lin Wanling like Lu Laolao entering the Grandview Garden, marveling at everything. Lin Wanling's purchasing power was astonishing. She pulled me from one store to another, and upon spotting something appealing, she would wave her hand without a second thought. This one, and this one. Wrap them up and send them to this address. I remained in a daze, entirely at her mercy. Meanwhile, our reluctant escort, Chung Mo, maintained a distance of 3 meters, hands shoved in his pockets, exuding impatience as if each second with us was an ordeal. Halfway through our shopping spree, exhaustion set in and my stomach growled. I tugged at Lin Wanling's sleeve.
Whisperin, Mom, I'm hungry.
Oh dear, it's my fault for getting so carried away, she exclaimed, slapping her forehead. Let us grab a bite. My eyes lit up with excitement. I had already spotted the delightful food options on the top floor of the mall. Just as we were about to ascend, an unexpected guest made an appearance. Aunt Chung? A delicate voice chimed from nearby. I turned to find Su Mengyao, clad in a pristine white dress, her hair adorned with an exquisite bow, gazing at us with surprise. Beside her stood a glamorous woman, presumably her new adoptive mother. System prompt. Side quest activated. Showcase your elegance and kindness in front of the Chung family. Make Xie Shutao feel utterly ashamed and reclaim your rightful brilliance. The barrage of comments resumed its diligent work. I rolled my eyes, thinking, here we go again. Lin Wanling merely smiled politely at Su Mengyao. Oh, it's you. Clearly, she harbored no particular fondness for the girl who had nearly become her daughter. Yet, Su Mengyao seemed oblivious to the chill in the air and approached us with enthusiasm. Aunt, what a coincidence. Are you shopping too? Her gaze fell upon me, as well as the shop assistants laden with bags behind me, a flicker of jealousy glimmering in her eyes. She quickly masked it, turning her attention back to me with a feigned benevolent smile. Sister Shutao, I'm so happy for you. You found such a wonderful family. I forced a smile, my lips twitching at her insincerity. She then glanced at Chung Mo, her eyes lighting up, her cheeks tinged with a rosy hue. Is this Chung Mo Gidge? Hello.
I'm Su Mengyao.
Chung Mo didn't lift his gaze, merely grunting an indifferent Su Mengyao's smile faltered for a moment, but being the protagonist she was, her composure quickly returned. She picked up a glass of juice from a nearby waiteress tray and extended it toward him. Aunt Chung, after shopping for so long, you must be thirsty. Have some juice. Just then, a dramatic turn of events unfolded. As she stepped forward, her foot slipped, and the cup of vibrant orange juice splashed directly onto my freshly donned white dress, creating a glaring yellow stain.
Sumenti at galim de damatikas.
Her face a mask of faux concern. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you alright, Sister Shudao? She fumbled for a tissue, her pretended sympathy palpable.
Ha ha ha.
The plan is working. Let us see how CS Shudao reacts. She'll undoubtedly explode in outrage, ruining her image in the Chung family's eyes. The comments were rife, with her gleeful laughter. Onlookers began to point and whisper, and Su Mengyao,'s adoptive mother approached, frowning. Oh dear, Mengyao, how careless of you. She chastised, her words devoid of any genuine apology. I surveyed the stain on my dress, then glanced at Su Mengyao, who was reveling in her little performance. Honestly, I felt no anger whatsoever. It was merely a piece of clothing, far less significant than an empty stomach. My thoughts were consumed with images of barbecued meats, hot pot, and crayfish. Thus, while everyone anticipated a scene of tears or fury, I merely cast a calm glance at my dress before looking up at Lin Wanling and saying, Mom, my dress is dirty. Lin Wanling's expression soured. She was no fool and could see through this petty trick. She was about to explode when I gently tugged at her hand, earnestly asking, can we go get ice cream now?
Craven chocolate flavor.
My reaction left everyone momentarily speechless. Su Mengyao,'s rehearsed apologies and consolation were caught in her throat. Chung Mo raised an eyebrow in surprise, finally giving me a proper look. Lin Wanling paused for 2 seconds before bursting into laughter. She pinched my cheek affectionately, her eyes filled with fondness. You little glutton. Is there anything on your mind besides food? Turning her gaze sharply towards Su Mengyao and her adoptive mother, her smile vanished. Such childish tricks. I can't be bothered to engage. With that, she took my hand, addressing a nearby attendant. This dress is no longer needed. Go. Fetch that limited edition Starry Sky dress from your shop and let our little Tao try it on. She cast a sidelong glance at Su Mengyao and pointedly remarked. Some individuals, even clad in a dragon robe, do not exude the essence of a prince. Yet our little Tao, even draped in a sack, remains the most adorable little princess. With that, she disregarded the pallor that had overtaken Su Mengyao's face and confidently took my hand, leading me away. As we passed by the visibly displeased Chung Mo, I caught his muttered words. So foolish. It was unclear whether he directed his comment at Su Mengyao or myself. Once adorned in the sequined Starry Sky dress, we made our way to the food court on the top floor. Lin Wanling's mother treated me to an enormous tricolor ice cream cone, with one hand clutching the ice cream and the other held by her. I felt a swell of joy. Although the dress was undeniably beautiful, nothing could compare to the deliciousness of ice cream. A garment traded for a scoop of ice cream. What a splendid exchange. On our journey home, Lin Wanling's mother suddenly inquired, Little Tao, was that girl from earlier not on good terms with you? I licked my ice cream and nodded earnestly. Yes, she is also from the orphanage. Her name is Su Mengyao, and the director favors her the most. I simply stated a fact without embellishment. Yet sometimes, the starkness of truth carries more weight than any malicious slander. After a moment of silence, Lin Wanling's mother gently patted my head, saying, It's all in the past now. From here on, you have us. Gazing at her tender profile, warmth filled my heart, and I nodded vigorously.
Cheng Montak,
seated in the passenger seat, glanced at me through the rearview mirror, his expression seemingly a touch less disdainful, perhaps more inquisitive. I dismissed him entirely, lowering my gaze and concentrating intently on my ice cream. Chocolate flavor is simply delightful. A month after my adoption, I was enrolled in the city's premier private institution, Shenghua Middle School. This esteemed establishment encompassed elementary, middle, and high school levels, and Chung Mo attended the high school division here. Admission was a privilege reserved for the affluent. On the first day of school, Chung Yuan and Lin Wanling personally escorted me to the gates, where the principal and director awaited, their faces adorned with obsequious smiles. I was placed in the 5th grade of the elementary division. Upon entering the classroom, I immediately spotted a familiar face, Su Mengyao. She too attended this school and was in the same class as I. Main mission initiated, become the campus goddess, outshine CS Shutao, and win Chung Mo's affection. Mission reward, charm points 100, Chung Mo favorability 20. The barrage of comments above her head sparkled, brimming with ambition. My lips twitched in response. It seemed her eccentric and wealthy foster mother had quite the resources. Our homeroom teacher, a young woman named Ms. Wang, had evidently prepared in advance. Upon seeing me, she enthusiastically ushered me to the front of the class for introductions. Class, this is our new student, Xia Shutao. She is the daughter of Chairman Chung of Chung Group. Let's all be kind and welcoming to her. As soon as the words left her mouth, every pair of eyes in the room fixed upon me, some curious, others envious. and a few disdainful. Su Mengyao, however, sat gracefully in her seat, smiling yet harboring a subtle hint of contempt in her gaze. I found myself seated in the last row by the window. As soon as the bell rang, several classmates approached me. "Are you really the daughter of Chairman Cheng? Do you live in that huge villa on the mountain? Is your brother the campus heartthrob Cheng Mo?" Their incessant questions gave me a headache, forcing me to respond with vague nods. Meanwhile, a crowd gathered around Su Mengyao, who was reciting poetry from an original collection in fluent English, eliciting gasps of admiration.
Wow.
"Su Mengyao, your English is amazing. Yes, you know so much, you're incredible." A boy in a small suit, looking rather grown-up, cast a disdainful glance in my direction and remarked to Su Mengyao, "Yao Yao, don't pay attention to that bumpkin. What skills does she possess beyond merely being born into privilege?" Su Mengyao swiftly intervened, displaying her kindness. "Li Zhe, don't say that. Little Shutao has just arrived and needs time to adjust. We should help her." "Yes, exactly." Showcasing my kindness and generosity. "Let everyone know that I, Su Mengyao, am unlike that ineptia Shutao who relies solely on her family's status." I yawned at the commotion around her, finding it utterly dull. I had no interest in becoming the campus goddess. My primary concern was whether the cafeteria at this prestigious school served delectable meals. As soon as the lunch bell rang, I bolted from the classroom. The cafeteria at Shenghua Middle School truly lived up to its reputation. Rather than a mere cafeteria, it resembled an upscale buffet restaurant, with sections for Chinese, Western, Japanese, and desserts all available. Holding my tray, I was dazzled by the array of options. What should I eat for lunch today? The braised lion's head looked tempting, the steak seemed delicious, and the salmon sashimi appeared fresh. Never mind, only children make choices. I'll have them all. I piled my tray high with food and found a corner to devour my feast. Just as I was gnawing on a large chicken leg, a figure plopped down across from me. Looking up, I saw a chubby boy with a round face, holding a tray piled high with food. "Hey, new girl. You like chicken legs too?" he asked, shoving a large mouthful of rice into his mouth. I nodded, continuing to enjoy my chicken leg. "I'm Zhao Lei. What's your name?"
Xie Shutao.
"Oh, you're Qingmo's sister," he exclaimed, realization dawning on him. "Let me tell you, your brother is really something. He has so many girls fawning over him." I remained silent, focusing on my lunch. Zhao Lei, undeterred, continued chatting. Our dining style sharply contrasted with the other students, who were busy chewing delicately and observing etiquette. It wasn't long before I gained a reputation for my voracious appetite. Seizing the opportunity, Su Mengyao spread rumors in class, branding me as uncouth and unrefined, merely a glutton. Meanwhile, she maintained her image as the talented and gentle goddess, quickly becoming the most popular girl in class. To this, I paid no mind. Could a reputation fill my stomach? Certainly not. However, the cafeteria food was indeed delectable. I even made a few like-minded friends, such as Zhao Lei. We frequently discussed the latest culinary offerings from the cafeteria. One day, the school announced a charity fair, requiring each class to present a performance or stall. When Ms. Wang delivered the news, all eyes turned to Su Mengyao. "Let's have Yao Yao play the piano. She's so talented." Yes, she won an award last time." Su Mengyao modestly smiled. "I just play casually. Since everyone wants to hear, I suppose I shall oblige." Then, Ms. Wang turned her gaze toward me, a hint of anticipation in her eyes. "Shutao, do you have any talents?"
Me?
Talents? My greatest skill was devouring food. I shook my head. A flicker of disappointment crossed Ms. Wang's face. Sitting beside Su Mengyao, Li Zhe began his sarcastic commentary again. What talent could she possibly have? Perhaps she could perform a feat of eating 10 hamburgers in one breath? The classroom erupted in laughter. Su Mengyao resumed her role as the benevolent figure. "Li Zhe,
Don't joke like that.
Shutao, it's all right. It's all about participation. Why not join us and help with logistics?"
Ha ha ha, a vest is extra vest.
Only fit to assist me. Her triumphant proclamation floated by in the barrage of comments. I found their antics tiresome and busied myself doodling in my notebook. On the day of the charity fair, the campus buzzed with excitement. Su Mengyao, adorned in a flowing white chiffon gown, sat gracefully at the grand piano in the center of the stage, reminiscent of an elegant princess. As she played a piece titled Moonlight, the melodious strains of her performance drew forth waves of applause. Meanwhile, I had set up a modest stall in a corner of the playground. My booth boasted neither exquisite handicrafts nor refined calligraphy. It was simply a large basin brimming with steaming, aromatic delights, spicy crayfish. After much persuasion, Master Zhang had finally agreed to assist me in preparing this delicacy. The vibrant red crayfish, complemented by fresh green coriander, was a sight that stirred the appetite. The intoxicating blend of pungency and spice wafted through the air, overshadowing the stalls selling cakes and cookies nearby.
Wow.
What is that delightful aroma? It's crayfish. Can you believe they sell crayfish at school? Before long, my stall was thronged with eager patrons. How much for this? I'll take a serving. Make it extra spicy. Even my lunch buddy, Zhao Lei, squeezed his way through the crowd, drooling as he called out peach. Save me a big one. The scene was utterly vibrant. I was frantically packaging orders and collecting money, caught up in the exhilarating chaos. Then, a familiar figure approached my stall. It was Chung Mo, fresh from a basketball game. He and his friends had been lured by the enticing aroma, dressed in his sports attire. Beads of sweat glistened on his forehead as he surveyed the bustling scene and the sight of me, apron-clad and slick with perspiration. The expression that crossed his handsome face was a captivating blend of shock, confusion, disdain, and ultimately, a hint of curiosity. One of his friends nudged him. Emogo, isn't that your sister? What is she selling that smells so good? Chung Mo remained silent, frowning as he watched me from a distance. I was too preoccupied to acknowledge him. My crayfish were nearly sold out. As I prepared to close up after selling the last serving, Chung Mo approached, towering over my now empty basin. He glanced at my oil-stained hands, his brow furrowing deeply. Xia Shirtao, what are you doing here? Selling crayfish, I replied, counting my earnings, my eyes gleaming with delight. I've made a fortune today. He seemed momentarily at a loss for words, taken aback by my unabashed confidence. Alert! Alert! Chung Mo's interest in Xia Shirtao has increased. Host, please take note. In the distance, Su Mengyao, just off stage, noticed the flurry of activity at my stall. Observing her thunderous applause failing to translate into tips, her expression darkened slightly. Chung Mo fixated on the money in my hand, falling into a contemplative silence before asking, "Is everything sold out?" "Indeed," I replied proudly, raising my cash triumphantly. "Every last serving gone." He pressed his lips together, swallowed hard, and finally managed to utter, "Next time, save me a portion." Since the charity sale, my reputation at school had transformed dramatically from a mere bumpkin who only knew how to ride on others' coattails to a culinary genius capable of conjuring up delectable treats. Especially among my classmates, their gazes towards me had shifted considerably. After all, who could resist a peer who could procure gourmet delights at any moment? Even Li Jia, who had previously been antagonistic towards me, shamelessly approached to inquire, "Xia Shirtao, what will you sell next time? Can you give me a hint?" I shot him a sidelong glance. "Depends on my mood." Su Mengyao, seemingly unwilling to concede her spotlight from our last encounter, began to exert herself even more.
Today,
She participated in the Olympiad competition. Tomorrow, she would engage in an English speech, spinning herself like a top in an attempt to regain everyone's attention. System. Why am I working so hard while Chung Mo's favorability remains at 0? System prompt. Favorability requires opportunities for connection. It is recommended that the host create more chances for solitude with the target individual. Consequently, I began to frequently witness encounters between Su Mengyao and Chung Mo around campus. Mo go, what a coincidence. Are you headed to the library too?
Montaki.
I can't solve this problem. Could you help me? Mo go, I baked cookies. Would you like to try one? Yet, Chung Mo remained perpetually indifferent, his demeanor as frigid as an ancient glacier. I felt embarrassed for her. However, I began to notice an unusual change in Chung Mo recently. He seemed to be observing me more closely. For instance, during lunch in the cafeteria, I would often feel a pair of eyes on me from a distance. When I looked up, I would catch Chung Mo and his friends seated nearby, only for him to hastily avert his gaze. Similarly, on my way home after school, he would deliberately lag behind me, maintaining a careful distance, claiming, "Mom asked me to keep an eye on you, in case you get abducted by bad people." As if I would believe that. Strangely, he had also begun to show an unprecedented interest in my food. One evening, while sneaking a late-night bowl of instant noodles, my long-hidden stash of guilty pleasure, I boiled water and prepared the noodles with seasoning. To enhance the flavor, I even borrowed some chili peppers, vinegar, and scallions from the kitchen. Soon, an enticing aroma wafted through my room. Just as I was about to indulge, a knock echoed at my door. Startled, I hastily concealed my bowl behind my back. "Who is it?" "It's me." It was Chung Mo, his icy demeanor intact. What could he want? Had he come to catch me in the act of indulging? Steeling myself, I opened the door. Brother, it's late. Is there something you need? Chung Emo stood at the threshold, clad in black pajamas, his hair slightly damp, presumably just out of the shower. He didn't speak. Instead, he craned his neck to peer into my room, inhaling deeply. What are you eating? Nothing at all, I insisted, refusing to confess. I can smell it, he asserted, scrutinizing me with a piercing gaze. It's a cheap aroma. Do you not know how to speak? This is the essence of earthly delights. Ignoring my protests, he circumvented me and stepped into my room, immediately spotting the lavish bowl of instant noodles I had hidden. His brow furrowed in disapproval, revealing his distaste. Xia Shirtao, you're eating this kind of junk food? Occasionally indulging is harmless, I mumbled defensively. Mom would have a word with you if she knew. If you don't tell her, how would she find out? I blinked, attempting to forge an alliance. He stared at the bowl of noodles, deep in thought. I braced myself for a lengthy lecture, but instead, after a moment of hesitation, he asked, "Is it good?" I was taken aback. This was a peculiar turn of events. The fastidious, obsessive, and aloof Chung Emo shouldn't he be intrigued by such peasant food, should he? It's decent, I replied tentatively. He glanced again at the bowl, still wearing a look of disdain, yet his words belied his expression. Let me have a taste. I was utterly flabbergasted. Was this really the same Chung Emo who had previously criticized my untidiness and picky eating? Had he been possessed by some spirit? When he noticed my stunned silence, he grew impatient. Hurry up, just one bite. Reluctantly, I handed him the bowl. He picked up my chopsticks, took a small portion of noodles, blew on them, and cautiously placed them in his mouth. Gradually, his eyes lit up with delight. It was a look of astonishment, as if he had just discovered a new world. His chewing quickened, and in a mere few bites, he swallowed the mouthful of noodles. Then, he returned the bowl to me, cleared his throat, and resumed his icy demeanor. Just like that, there was a hint of seasoning in the air. With that, he turned on his heel and left, his steps slightly hurried. I watched his retreating figure, bewildered, then glanced at the instant noodles in my hands, lost in contemplation. This ice prince certainly had a touch of pride. From that day forth, Chung Emo seemed to have unlocked some hidden pathways within himself. He began to concoct various clumsy excuses to indulge in my junk food. Xia Shutao, that spicy strip you have is overwhelming, it's affecting me. Hand it over, and I'll dispose of it for you. Those potato chips are fried and unhealthy. Give them to me, and I shall eat them for your sake. Your mother forbids you from drinking cola, yet you sneak it? Hand it over. Each time. He donned a face that suggested he was merely looking out for my well-being, yet he relished the snacks more than anyone else. A peculiar tacit understanding blossomed between us. I was responsible for acquiring various contraband snacks, while he took on the role of their destroyer. Our relationship gradually improved throughout this process of destruction. He no longer referred to me as Xia Shutao, but instead called me Feeding. Although still not particularly endearing, it was at least less formal. He would discreetly help me fend off those boys who sought to trouble me at school. And when I struggled to finish my assignments, he would chide me for my stupidity, yet still toss his homework my way for reference. One day, Su Mingyao's lackey, Li Zhe, was once again slandering me in class. What is so great about being able to cook? It's nothing worth boasting about. Just then, Chung Emo happened to overhear him as he walked past our classroom. Without a moment's hesitation, he strode into the room and seized Li Zhe by the collar. What did you just say? Repeat that. Chung Emo towered over Li Zhe, his icy aura rendering Li Zhe speechless with fear. You think you can talk about my sister? Chung Mo's voice was low, but laden with menace. The entire class was left in stunned silence. Su Mingyao was equally taken aback. She hadn't anticipated Chung Emo would stand up for me. Alert! Alert! Male lead's favorability is shifting. Host, please take immediate action. The red barrage above her head flickered wildly. Chung Emo released Li Zhe, casting a cold gaze around the classroom before finally resting his eyes on me. Wait for me after school. We'll go home together. With that, he turned away with an air of cool detachment. The classroom fell into an eerie silence. Watching his retreating figure, I felt a warmth spread within me. This ice prince didn't seem so intolerable after all. After school, I walked home with Chung Emo. Along the way, he suddenly asked, "Do we still have those spicy chicken feet tonight?" I couldn't help but chuckle. So all this time, he had stood up for me simply for a bite to eat. I rummaged through my backpack and handed him a pack of spicy chicken feet. Here you go. He took it, tore open the packaging, and while munching, mumbled indistinctly, "At least you know your place."
Under the sunlight,
He devoured the food with grease smeared across his mouth, losing all semblance of the ice prince and appearing rather endearing instead. I shook my head, dismissing that alarming thought. The Chung family was about to welcome a significant figure. Chung Mo's father, Chung Yuan, who is also my grandfather, was returning from abroad. This news cast an air of tension over the entire villa. Lin Wanling, my mother, began directing the housemaids to clean every corner, ensuring it was spotless. She even pulled me aside, reiterating her warnings. Xiao Tao, your grandfather is quite traditional and has many rules. When you meet him later, be on your best behavior. Speak less and eat more. No, wait, eat slowly, don't do it like you usually do. Seeing her anxious demeanor, I nodded. If Lin Wanling was this nervous, it seemed my grandfather would be a formidable character. Chung Mo also wore a serious expression, warning me, the old man has a temper, don't provoke him. Or no one will be able to save you. My apprehension deepened. An opportunity has arisen. That wild girl, Xie Shutao, is utterly uncouth. She will surely anger the old man of the Chung family and be cast out. At that moment, it will be my chance to shine. Su Mingyao's barrage was filled with schadenfreude. It seemed she had caught wind of this news and was already plotting her ascent. In the afternoon, a black Rolls-Royce glided into the villa. Uncle Li respectfully opened the car door. An elderly man dressed in a Zhongshan suit, with graying hair yet exuding vitality, emerged. He leaned on a dragon-headed cane, emanating an aura of authority, his gaze sharp as an eagle's. He was the head of the Chung family, Old Master Chung.
Dad.
You're back. Chung Yuan and Lin Wanling hurried to greet him. The old man merely nodded, surveying the villa, his eyes finally landing on me. I nervously clutched the hem of my clothing, hardly daring to breathe. Is this the child you adopted? His voice was aged yet resonant, imbued with an undeniable authority. Yes, father. Her name is Xie Shutao, Lin Wanling introduced me, pulling me forward. I summoned my courage, lifted my head, and softly greeted, hello, grandfather. The old man said nothing, merely scrutinizing me with those piercing eyes, making me feel as if I were a cabbage at a market, at risk of being discarded for not meeting the standards. Just as the atmosphere became almost suffocating, Chung Mo stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of me. Grandfather, you just got off the plane. You must be tired. Please, come inside and rest. Only then did the old man avert his gaze, grunting in response as he leaned on his cane and entered the house. The evening family dinner was steeped in an oppressive atmosphere. Chef Zhang showcased his culinary prowess, preparing a feast of exquisite delicacies, yet no one had the appetite to eat. The old man sat at the head of the table, his expression stern and silent. I recalled Lin Wanling's advice, striving to present myself as a demure young lady, eating daintily, not daring to reach far for the dishes. It was utterly torturous. The abalone on the table was prepared to perfection, yet I could only watch in longing. Eventually, the old man spoke, directing a few questions my way.
How old are you?
Which orphanage were you in? Have you received an education? I answered each query honestly. With every response, his brow furrowed deeper. Lin Wanling and Chung Yuan's faces grew increasingly tense. Chung Mo sat beside me, discreetly nudging my leg under the table, silently urging me not to be afraid. After his inquiries, the old man shifted his attention to Chung Mo, examining his studies. The atmosphere lightened slightly, and I seized the opportunity to grab a piece of abalone, quickly popping it into my mouth. Delicious. Just as I was about to reach for a second piece, the old man suddenly broke into a fit of coughing. He coughed violently, his face turning crimson, and a servant hastily offered him water. Dad, are you all right? Lin Wanling asked, concern etched on her face. It's an old ailment, the old man waved dismissively, setting down his chopsticks. When one grows old, nothing tastes good. I glanced at the table laden with dishes, then at the nearly untouched bowl in front of the old man, when an idea struck me. Hesitating for a moment, I finally spoke up, Grandfather, I think today's dishes are a bit bland. That one sentence drew all eyes upon me. Chef Zhang's face turned pale. To say his dishes were bland was the gravest insult to a chef. Lin Wanling was frantic, shooting me warning glances. Chung Mo kicked me hard under the table. The old man turned his head, regarding me with a sharp gaze. Oh, you think they're bland? I steeled myself, after all. Whether I extended my neck or retracted it, it would end the same. I nodded and pointed to several condiments on the table, saying, indeed. The dish itself is quite good, and the cooking time is sufficient. However, it would be even more delectable with a dash of fragrant vinegar to enhance the flavor. And perhaps a small dish of spicy sauce to whet the appetite. As soon as I finished speaking, a profound silence enveloped the entire restaurant. Everyone turned to me with a look that seemed to say, "You are doomed. Ha! This fool dares to criticize the cooking of old Master Chung. She's finished." Su Mingyao's barrage of comments had already begun to celebrate my impending downfall. I lowered my head, bracing myself for the impending storm. However, after a prolonged wait, I was met with the sound of the old man's hearty laughter.
Ha ha ha.
He pointed at me, laughing uncontrollably. "How amusing. After all these years, you're the first to dare to say that my Qing family chef's cooking is bland." Everyone was taken aback. The old man halted his laughter and, with great interest, looked at me, saying, "Young lady, come here." I approached him, trembling with apprehension. "You, as you suggested, prepare a sauce for me."
Huh?
I was taken aback. "Hurry up," the old man urged. Reluctantly, I took a small dish, poured in some fragrant vinegar, scooped a spoonful of Master Zhang's secret spicy sauce, and, after a moment's thought, added a few drops of sesame oil. I presented this concoction of dark culinary art to the old man. "Grandfather, please try it." He glanced at it skeptically, then dipped his chopsticks into the sauce and placed it in his mouth. The next second, his eyes widened in surprise. He picked up his chopsticks and grabbed a piece of white-cut chicken, which he usually disliked, dipped it in the sauce I prepared, and popped it into his mouth. He nodded vigorously, a look of satisfaction spreading across his face. Then, with my sauce, he devoured an entire bowl of rice in one go. At this moment, everyone was left dumbfounded. It was well known that the old man, due to his age, had a poor appetite, and usually, it was a feat for him to finish half a bowl of rice. Lin Wanling and Cheng Yuan exchanged glances, both astonished by the other's surprise. Cheng Emo looked at me in utter disbelief as well. After the meal, the old man leaned back in his chair, contentedly patting his belly. He looked at me, and his gaze was no longer scrutinizing but rather filled with approval.
Good.
"This girl is impressive." He slammed his hand on the table, his voice resounding. "What courage! And she knows how to eat. Far superior to that skinny little monkey." He said this while shooting a glare at Cheng Emo, caught in the crossfire, rubbed his nose, looking quite dejected. Then, the old man made a move that shocked everyone. He pulled out a black card from his pocket and directly shoved it into my hands. "Girl, take this card. No password. Spend it freely," he declared grandly. "From now on, buy whatever you wish to eat. Eat however you like. If anyone dares to stop you, just tell Grandpa." I held the heavy black card, still in a state of bewilderment. Was this it? Not only had I passed the test, but I had also received an unlimited dining voucher? Looking at the old man's beaming face, I suddenly felt that this grandfather was rather endearing. His arrival had firmly established my status as the beloved pet of the Chung family. Now, he regarded me with more affection than his own grandson, Chung Mo. Every day, his greatest pleasure was watching me eat and occasionally asking me to create new appetizers for him. The dining table of the Chung family, once filled with silence, transformed into my personal gourmet tasting event. "Xiao Tao, how is this fish?" It's slightly oversteamed. Next time, perhaps reduce the time by 30 seconds. "Xiao Tao, what about the soup?" "Delicious. It would be even better with a couple of slices of angelica." The old man nodded approvingly, calling Master Zhang over with a serious expression, instructing him, "Did you hear that? From now on, always consult the young lady's opinion before cooking." Master Zhang, far from being displeased, treated me as a confidant and eagerly collaborated with me on new recipes. Lin Wanling and Cheng Yuan were delighted with this development. Although Cheng Mo never voiced it, he was always the first to come and sample whatever delicacies I created. My life was nothing short of splendid. Meanwhile, Su Mingyao was not faring as well. Her meticulously planned performance before the old man had yet to commence when it was already rendered null and void, as the old man never even granted her the opportunity. How could this happen? Isn't old Master Cheng the one who values rules and etiquette the most? Why does he favor that brash glutton, Xie Shu Tao? System. Is there a bug in this world? System notification. Severe deviation in the world line detected. Attempting to correct. Warning. Warning. Protagonist's halo is diminishing. The barrage above her head shifted from initial schadenfreude to sheer frustration and confusion. She was unwilling to accept this defeat. Thus, she initiated her plan B. The Churn Corporation hosts a grand charity gala every year, inviting celebrities from all walks of life. This year, as a member of the Chung family, I was also to attend. Su Mingyao somehow acquired an invitation and appeared at the gala as well. That day, I wore a custom-made little dress by Lin Wanling. adorned with the pearl necklace gifted by the old man, standing beside my family as we received the curious and envious gazes of the crowd.
Sumenda.
In her pristine white princess gown, flitted through the crowd like a dancing butterfly, striving to showcase her elegance and charm. Halfway through the gala, the lights suddenly dimmed, and a film began to play on the big screen. The content depicted impoverished children in mountainous areas. Watching the frail figures of those children and the longing in their eyes for an education moved many in attendance. After the film concluded, the host took the stage, urging everyone to donate to these children. At that moment, Su Mengyao took the microphone and ascended the stage. With tears in her eyes, she spoke in a tone of profound compassion. Seeing these children truly pains my heart. Like us, they all deserve the right to an education. Her words elicited waves of applause. Then, she pivoted her narrative, her gaze suddenly fixed on me. I know everyone here possesses a kind heart. However, right beside us, some individuals enjoy the finest lives yet fail to cherish them. She paused, donning an expression as if she were on the verge of revealing a great truth. I heard that the newly adopted young lady of the Chung family receives a monthly allowance in the 7 figures. I can't help but think, if only a fraction of that could be saved, how many children could be helped to attend school? Her remarks were heartfelt and imbued with a sense of righteousness. In an instant, all eyes turned to me. Wealth in itself is not a sin. Yet in such a setting, being pointed out by a virtuous girl transforms it into an original sin. Ha ha ha. Let us see how you handle this. From the moral high ground, Xie Shutao is nothing but a spoiled, heartless waste. Dare to refute and you're cold-hearted. Remain silent and you're extravagant and wasteful. A deadlock. Su Mengyao's barrage of comments reached a peak of triumph. I gazed at her on stage, a cold smile forming in my heart. The veiled dagger had finally emerged. Did she think to morally bind me? Before I could even speak, my family erupted in protest. Chung Mo was the first to stand, his expression icy as he grasped the nearby microphone. His voice, though not loud, resonated clearly throughout the venue. Miss, I am unaware of where you obtained your rumors. The amount of my sister's allowance is a matter concerning our Chung family, one that does not require outsiders to comment upon. Lin Wanling also rose to her feet. Although her face still bore a smile, her gaze had turned frigid. Moreover, the compassion of our dear Xiaotao cannot merely be proclaimed through words. Just last week, she anonymously donated an entire library's worth of books, along with brand new multimedia equipment, to Sunshine Primary School using her own pocket money. Upon her revelation, the audience erupted in astonishment. Su Mengyao's complexion turned ashen in an instant. She never anticipated that I would undertake such an act behind everyone's back. The motivation behind my action stemmed from my visit to that primary school for an event, where I discovered their library was both diminutive and dilapidated, with a woefully inadequate selection of books. I thought, since my grandfather's black card was inexhaustible, why not procure some books for them? I never intended to make it public. At that moment, Chung Yuan's father also interjected. Without casting a glance at Su Mengyao, he addressed the host, stating, "My daughter Chung Yuan does not require guidance from others on how to conduct herself. Furthermore, please investigate how this young lady obtained her invitation. Our Chung family's banquet is not an event for just anyone." His words undoubtedly pronounced a death sentence for Su Mengyao. Standing on stage, she was rendered helpless, tears streaming down her face. Yet, this time, no one felt sympathy for her. How could this happen? System. Save me. System. System notification. Energy depleted. Protagonist aura dissipating. System entering dormancy mode. The barrage of comments above her head flickered briefly before transforming into a string of gibberish. Then with a pop, it vanished. Under the stage lights, Su Mengyao appeared utterly drained, collapsing onto the ground. Her adoptive parents rushed onto the stage, their faces ashen, dragging her away amidst a flurry of finger-pointing. As she was taken off, she continued to scream, "This isn't the true script for the system protagonist." All gazes fixed upon her with the incredulity reserved for the deranged. Observing the farcical conclusion of the scene, I quietly picked up a piece of cake from the table and popped it into my mouth. Mango-flavored, truly delightful. This commotion did not dampen my spirits. After all, what could be more enjoyable than watching a spectacle while savoring delicious treats? Su Mengyao had completely vanished from my world. Later, I heard through gossip from Zhao Lei that she had caused such a ruckus at the charity gala that her adoptive parents were humiliated and promptly sent her off to a strict boarding school abroad overnight. Those vexatious comments that once plagued her no longer appeared. My life had finally returned to serene tranquility. free from the constraints of the so-called protagonist and antagonist narrative. My days unfolded simply, yet joyfully. Each day consisted of attending school, returning home for meals, and then being playfully coerced by Chung Mo into devouring snacks. Weekends were spent shopping with Mother Lin Wanling or assisting my grandfather in culinary explorations. I seemed to have completely forgotten that I was once an orphan. Along with the absurd memories of traversing narratives, I was simply Xie Shutao, the daughter of the Chung family and sister to Chung Mo. It was as uncomplicated as that. One day, Chung Mo and I were nestled on the sofa, engrossed in a video game. We were embroiled in a heated dispute over the ownership of a wild monster. It's mine. I saw it first. You can't defeat it. Hand it over. No way. Mother Lin Wanling approached with a platter of sliced fruit, chuckling as she admonished us. How old are you two? Still bickering like children? Here, have some fruit and take a break. We immediately ceased hostilities, each snatching a piece of cantaloupe to munch on. Just as I was relishing my fruit, an unexpected line of translucent text drifted before my eyes. World Consciousness Log detected abnormal individual CS Shutao deviating from the predetermined trajectory of a cannon fodder antagonist. I froze, dropping the fruit from my mouth. Chung Mo glanced at me curiously. Hey, what are you zoning out for? I ignore him, fixated on the peculiar air before me. The text lingered, not dissipating as Su Mingyao's comments had. Cause analysis. External factors, such as familial affection and culinary indulgence, significantly elevated this individual's happiness index. Exceeding the threshold has triggered a failure in path correction. Happiness index? What could that be? World line reset failed, initiating adaptive adjustments. Individual CS Shutao new path generation underway. New path confirmed, pampered youngest daughter. Core task, maintain a high level of happiness index. Task rewards, continuous food supply, and unconditional familial love. As the final line of text faded, I was left utterly astonished. It turned out that Su Mengyao's system was one of a protagonist's resurgence, while mine resembled a lazy system focused on indulgence. As long as I relished my meals and lived happily, the world would automatically pave the way for me? What a serendipitous windfall. I hesitated to believe it and resolved to test the waters. I turned to Chung Mo, adopting a pitiful demeanor. Brother. Chung Mo shivered at my sudden high-pitched tone. What now? Speak properly. I blinked at him. I suddenly have a craving for hot pot. The kind that's exceptionally spicy, loaded with plenty of tripe and fatty beef. Chung Mo regarded me with disdain. What do you want hot pot for at night? It's too heating. No way. I let out a small, oh, lowering my head in feigned disappointment. Just then, new comments appeared. Warning. Individual happiness index is declining. Warning. Individual happiness index is declining. The red warning signs brought a smile to my face. Although Chung Mo protested, he nevertheless picked up his phone. With a mix of exasperation and amusement, he began texting Chef Zhang.
Chef-san?
Yes, it's me. Prepare hot pot, make it spicy, and add plenty of tripe and fatty beef. No, it's not for me. It's for that little glutton.
Got it, bye.
After hanging up, he tossed the phone aside and grumbled, all right. Go wait in the dining room. Let us see if it drives you mad. I immediately sprang up from the sofa, enveloping him in a huge bear hug. Brother, you're the best. Get off. You smell like cantaloupe. He scolded, though the corners of his mouth betrayed him, curling upwards. Happiness index rising. Happiness index significantly elevated. Task rewards being dispensed. I gazed at those green, joy-filled comments, my eyes narrowing into slits as I smiled. It turned out that my happiness was the key to this world. That evening, our family gathered around a steaming hot pot, eating to the point of perspiration. Grandfather couldn't handle too much spice, so Chef Zhang had prepared a clear broth for him. He savored fresh lamb slices dipped in the sesame sauce I had concocted, thoroughly enjoying himself. Chung Yuan's father and Lin Wanling's mother accompanied grandfather, while Chung Mo and I fought over food in the bubbling spicy pot. That tripe is mine. I grabbed it first. You have so much in your bowl. Stop stealing mine. Lin Wanling's mother watched us, shaking her head helplessly, and remarked to Chung Yuan's father, look at those two. Were they enemies in their past life? Chung Yuan's father chuckled, adding a helping of vegetables to Lin Wanling's bowl. They're quite the characters. Observing the lively and warm scene before me, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment, filled with something known as happiness. Perhaps my purpose in this world was not to overshadow anyone, nor to portray a malicious antagonist. I was simply here to enjoy good food, live well, and be loved. The memories of books and plots seem to have faded into the distant and blurry past. I watched Ching Mo across from me, gasping for breath from the spice while continuously adding meat to the pot. I suddenly realized that my current life was far more vibrant and authentic than any narrative within a novel. I was no longer a mere symbol in someone else's story. Here, this was my world. In my own narrative, I stand as the sole protagonist. Time has flown by, and in the blink of an eye, several years have passed. I have blossomed from a frail bean sprout into a graceful young woman. However, my love for food remains unchanged. I successfully graduated from Tsinghua High School and gained admission to the finest university in the country. My chosen field of study, culinary arts and nutrition, took everyone by surprise. As I often say, to savor exquisite cuisine, one must first grasp the craft. This decision received unanimous support from my family. Grandfather was particularly elated, declaring that upon my return, the kitchen of the Chung family would be entirely entrusted to me. Chung Mo also enrolled in the same university, 2 years ahead of me, pursuing a degree in finance. He is no longer the icy, aloof youth he once was, although he still maintains a cool demeanor. He exhibits remarkable patience when it comes to me. He reserves library seats for me, brings me breakfast, and silently prepares a steaming bowl of supper when I burn the midnight oil to finish my papers. Of course, he insists on a substantial portion for himself. Lin Wanling and Chung Yuan continue to spoil me endlessly. Their greatest pastime now is scouring the globe for culinary delights, meticulously crafting travel plans to whisk Ching Mo and me away on gastronomic adventures during holidays. As for the vexing barrage of comments, they have not resurfaced since that incident, leading me to occasionally wonder if it was merely a figment of my imagination. Yet, every time I behold the smiles of my family, savor the delectable morsels, I am reminded that this happiness is undeniably real. My joy exists in its truest form. Today marks my 20th birthday. Lin Wanling has been orchestrating my birthday celebration since a month ago. The entire villa has been transformed into a fairy tale castle with a grand stage erected in the garden. A long dining table is laden with delicacies from around the world, all my favorites. Clad in a flowing red gown, I stand amidst my family, receiving their heartfelt blessings. Our little Tao has grown up and become increasingly beautiful, Lin Wanling says, embracing me with teary eyes. 20 now, a young lady. Chung Yuan pats my shoulder, his gaze brimming with pride. Grandfather, leaning on his cane, appears more spirited than he has in years. He hands me a generous red envelope, chuckling. Happy birthday to our little culinary genius. I can't wait for you to prepare longevity noodles for me. I accept their well wishes with a smile. Midway through the festivities, Chung Mo pulls me aside. Dressed in a sharp suit, his hair meticulously styled, he appears considerably more mature than usual. He leads me to a quiet corner of the garden, away from the throng. What are you up to, being all secretive? I inquire, curiosity piqued. He remains silent, producing a box from behind him and presenting it to me. Happy birthday, he murmurs, his voice low, a hint of crimson tinting his ears. I open the box to find a necklace, its pendant shaped like a small chili pepper, adorned with diamonds, both unique and fitting to my character. I let out a light laugh. A chili pepper? Brother, you are truly creative.
No laughing.
He retorts, a touch flustered. Put it on, let me see. I chuckle as I fasten the necklace, the diamonds glimmering in the moonlight. Is it pretty? I twirl around. He gazes at me, his eyes focused and gentle, nodding in affirmation. Beautiful. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts, becoming somewhat charged. I clear my throat, attempting to break the silence, but he steps closer, bridging the gap between us. Xie Shu Tao. He calls my full name with an earnestness I've never heard before. I respond, breath caught as he inhales deeply, as if steeling himself for something significant. Can I stop being your brother? My heart skips a beat. I gaze into his handsome face, the light in his eyes leaving me momentarily dazed. What does this mean? Just as I am processing his words, Zhao Lei's booming voice calls from a distance. Mo Ge.
Taozi.
Where are you? Hurry up, it's time to cut the cake. Chung Mo frowns, evidently displeased by this interruption. Seizing the moment, I exhale in relief and tug him back. Come on, let's go.
Cake time. I'm starving.
He says nothing further as I pull him along, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth, a mix of exasperation and affection. Returning to the lively gathering, I find myself encircled by family and friends, standing before a magnificent birthday cake adorned with 20 candles. Tao, make a wish. They urge. I close my eyes, hands clasped together. I wish for my family as everlasting health and happiness. I hope to indulge in the world's culinary treasures for eternity. I also wish. I cautiously open one eye to glance at Ching-mo, who is watching me with a bright smile, his eyes sparkling. Suddenly, my cheeks flush, and I quickly shut my eyes again. Fine. I wish for him to be by my side every birthday from now on. I blow out the candles, and cheers erupt. I take the knife and cut the first slice of cake. Instead of indulging myself, I present the largest piece to Ching-mo. Here, a treat from the birthday girl. He accepts it with a grin, taking a generous bite before leaning in to whisper in my ear, "You still haven't answered my earlier question." My face turns crimson. Ignoring him, I turn to distribute cake to grandfather and my parents. Behind me, I hear his soft laughter. After the party concludes, I sit alone on the balcony, the evening breeze caressing me, the chilly necklace from Ching-mo in my hand. My life has transformed completely since the day I was adopted. I evolved from a mere supporting character in a book to the protagonist of my own life. I am blessed with the most wonderful family and have encountered someone who wishes to transition from brother to boyfriend. I touch the necklace around my neck and smile. In truth, I have long known the answer, have I not? The road ahead is still long, yet as long as they are by my side, and culinary delights abound. Each day will be vibrant and full of life. My journey has merely begun, and its flavor will surely be as rich and spicy as a bubbling pot of red oil hot pot, unforgettable and enticing. I glance at the chilly necklace in my hand, my heart swelling with sweetness. I rise and dash downstairs, finding Ching-mo waiting for me in the living room. I rush to him, stand on my tiptoes, and quickly plant a kiss on his cheek. As he stands in stunned silence, I cheerfully declare, "To your earlier question, my answer is yes. For every day ahead. I look forward to your guidance, my boyfriend."
The end.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and give a thumbs up to support. And I look forward to seeing you in the next story.